Hello everybody, this is Dr. Habibi, your Marketing 353 instructor. Some of you asked me that it's really nice if you can have some videos on the problems that we solve in class so that later you can repeat and learn all the details. And I thought, yes, it would be nice, and here I am creating these videos. Hopefully you'll use the videos and learn all the necessary steps to solve these kind of problems now and later in your future career. So the first topic that we worked in class is new market opportunities and estimation. Now if you go to your Titanium and click on new market opportunities and estimation, you will see all these resources that you need for this part of the class. The first file that you need is called instructions. So you click on instructions and then you open the file. Here, as you can see, all the required instructions are here. So you have to read the details of this instruction. Now, one point I want to make right now is that this class is not an Excel class. This class is basically not a software class. So you are not supposed to learn a software such as Excel in this course, but these are all tools that we use to tackle important marketing problems that you're going to face later in your future career, so that you know how to deal with these kind of problems, how to tackle them later in your career. And so you're supposed to know Excel as a tool, and if you don't know it already, it's a really good idea to invest time and perhaps money, but usually you just need time to spend and work on it. If you don't know, if you don't have enough resources and materials, there are a lot of materials. You just need to Google, let's say, Excel tutorial, and then just have click on videos here, and you see a lot of, you will find so many thousands of videos so to learn Excel. And also, if there is a certain topic in Excel that you don't know or you want to learn, just Google that certain topic. Let's say you want to see how to filter in Excel. So you just put that, and as you can see, there are thousands of videos that you can use. Again, this is not a software class, but at the same time, you're going to learn a lot about softwares because we are actually learning by doing. So it's really good to share our knowledge here, and I'm happy to share my knowledge here with you guys on Excel and on, more importantly, on marketing problem solving that we practice in our class. So the first practice that we have in this class is called market analysis and new market opportunities. And the whole point and the whole goal is to have a practice where we kind of get to know how to analyze real data to come up with recommendations for new market opportunities and estimating new markets. So here are the course. These are the objectives of this module. You should all study this part. I want to make this video quick, so I'll skip this part because we talk about these in class. And then there are all the guidelines necessary. So the first thing is that you have to read this part and completely understand. This problem is about residential broadband phone services, or VoIP phone services, that are supposed to cost about $19.95 a month, and they provide a lot of services to houses. So this is a product for houses, so every house can have a VoIP phone, and then they would pay only $19.95 per month for any kind of call, long distance, short distance, and they would get a lot of other services such as voicemail, caller ID, and other important useful services for a cheap price. Now, the first question that we have to tackle is this question. So demand for the service is directly related to estimates of housing units. Where is the question asks, where is the largest market for VoIP in the US? So basically, we have to understand, we have to find out which state has the largest number of housing. So the data for this is actually right here. As you can see, housing data. You open housing data, and by the way, the answers of this practice are all here. So once you work on the file, you also have the answers here, so that later you can check your final answers. Now I open this housing file, which gives me the data that I need to solve this problem. And later I'll show you how to actually gain this data from census website. Okay, so here we have this file which has all the information for states and the housing units for different periods, different times for the last let's say 12 years, from July 2003 to July 2012. Now we want to see which state has the largest number of housing in 2015. Therefore, we have to project the number for 2015 because we don't have it. It's very simple. Actually, Excel does the projection automatically for us. We just have to highlight this part, and then you click on this fill handle, as you can see here, and then drag it one cell right. So here Excel does actually do a regression for us behind the processor and calculate the number of housing, the projection for 2015. Now the question asked us which one is the largest, or which state has the largest demand. Now we have to find that, right? And to find that out, we simply can sort all the data here to see which one is the largest. Usually when you have a large amount of data, it's harder to just check the number and the largest number with your eyes. So it's pretty easier to sort the data. So to sort the data, we have different ways in Excel. The simplest way is just to use filter. So as you can see here, you don't even need to highlight the data here, but sometimes depending on the situation and the arrangement of your data, you might need to select the area you wanna filter. But right now I'll just click on filter and put the filter on. As you can see, Excel would automatically put these little icons here so that you can filter your data. So here I click on projected 2015, and then okay, well, hold on, before I do that, let me just copy and create another worksheet, because we want to keep the original worksheet as it is, and work with you know, with that, so that we can have our backup data. Okay, so I'm gonna right click on this worksheet and click on move or copy. We want to create a copy here and move it to the end. Okay, and you click yes, and then rename the worksheet and rename it as Q1. Now whatever we work on, we have our original data backed up right there. Now I click on the filter from largest to smallest. Okay, sorry, from largest to smallest. As you can see, California has the largest number of housing for 2015. So our largest market for our VoIP service is California. So the answer to question 1 is California. Now let's go to question 2. Question 2 asks us, suppose the marketers plan to target the new housing units where the digital phone service would more likely to be installed. Please identify the 10 fastest growing states in terms of growth rate in the United States. So sometimes probably your boss or it asks you, or it makes more sense to see which market is growing faster, because growth means actually more demand. So here we want to calculate our growth rate. Okay, so I'm going to copy this worksheet again so that we have track of what we do. So we want to create a copy, and then we want to move it to end, and I'll go ahead and change the name of this to Q2. So growth rate, as you know, the formula for growth rate, and the formula is also provided here. As you can see, this is the formula for growth rate, which is change in units divided by old number. So new minus old divided by old. Well, you can multiply it by 100, or in Excel, we actually change the format cell to percentage so that Excel actually does change the numbers to percent. Okay, so here we have growth rate for 2003 to 2006, 2006 to 2009, and 2009 to 2012. We don't have it for the growth rate for 2015, 2009, so we have to create another column here. So I'll click on that and then right click, insert. So I'll write here growth rate for 2012 to 15. Okay, now I'm going to implement this formula here for growth rate. So for 2006 and 2003, 2006 growth rate, it's I'll put parentheses here, 2006 minus 2003 divided by 2003. Okay, and then click. As you can see, this should be changed to percentage. So I can simply right click and go to format cell to change the format of the cell to percentage, and also I can say I can identify the number of decimals. So if it's a small number, usually it's better to have 2 decimals at least, so that our numbers are more precise. Okay, and then now that I put this formula here, I can simply copy this formula to other rows, and as you can see, Excel would automatically adjust the formula for each of these cells and calculates the growth rate. As you can see here, the formula here is D5 minus C5 divided by C5. Once I drag it right here, this one is going to be E5 minus D5 divided by D5. So Excel adjusts the formula. It's called relative referencing. If you are not familiar with relative referencing in Excel, it's better to do a Google search and maybe watch a video on that. It's really important that you know the concept of relative referencing. Later we will see how we can use the other type of referencing, which is called absolute referencing. So now we calculated growth rate. We want to do it for the whole for all the states. So I select this area and I can drag this down all the way down, or I can simply double click. It's simpler to just double click on this and Excel would automatically calculate all the growth rates. So now the question asks us what are the top 10 fastest growing. So again, to find out the fastest growing regions, we have to sort them based on the largest to smallest in terms of growth, 2012 to 2015 growth. So I'm going to go ahead and do sort based on largest to smallest. So as you can see, Nevada state is the fastest growing, which is in mountain region. So I'm going to highlight that. But the question asks us the top 10. So to have the top 10, Excel has this really cool feature. You go again, click on this little icon here, the filter icon, and click on the number of filters. And then here, as you can see, it says top 10. So you can choose top 10, or you can change this number. Actually, you can say top 9 or top 11, but right now we keep it at top 10. And then I click on that. As you can see, we have the list of top 10 fastest growing states, right? Very cool. This will be the answer of your second question. Now let me go to third question. Third question asks us what are the net increase of housing units in different states. So why net increase is important? Sometimes, as I said in class, sometimes net increase is more important than growth rate, because growth rate can be high for a small change. Let's say if you have a small number, a small change will result in a large growth rate in that. So we actually want to have the net increase. Okay, and the net increase is the number that shows us how many new houses are being built in 2015. Therefore, we're going to have the actual number that shows the new demand. So I'm going to go ahead again and copy this sheet to the end to create a new one. I'm going to call it Q3, and here we want to calculate the net increase. Okay, so to calculate net increase, I'm gonna first remove the filter. So here I click again on that and then clear filter. As you can see it here, I clear the filter, and then also I can just unfilter, but we can leave it there, or we can just take the filters off so that we have the data ready to calculate net increase. Let me hide these growth rates so that we have a more manageable worksheet so that you can see everything. I'm going to hide them. So I just selected them and right click and then hide. So net increase, the formula is very simple. You're going to have the formula again here. So all the formulas are here. So you basically calculate the number of the new number of housing minus old. So you go back to your Excel sheet and calculate this formula. So we want to see the net increase in 2003 and 2006. So it's the new number minus the old number. Sorry, I made a mistake here. Let me click on that. So the new number minus old, then enter, and then we simply drag this cell to the other two, and Excel would automatically calculates them. And then again we need to calculate the net increase for 2012 and 15. Let me open this a little bit more, and now again if we copy this cell right here to this one, Excel would adjust this formula and calculates. As you can see, the formula is right here. It's actually projected 2015 minus this one. Okay, so it's G5 minus F5. As you can see, this is the formula, right? So Excel would actually calculate that for you, and then you can select all of these and then double click on that fill handle right there so that you can calculate all the net increase. One cool thing with Excel is Control Z option, which is a shortcut for undo, or you can just undo if you make any mistake. You can undo here. So I'm going to undo what I did. Again, you put your mouse here, and then you can double click on this to calculate all the net increases. Now you can also select this area, and just to make it more beautiful, put the borders around so that this part is also part of the table. Now again, we want to see what is the largest net increase. Let me see what the question asked actually. What are the net increase of housing? Yes, here. What are the top 3 states? Okay, this is the question. Again, now you should be able to easily do that. So you put the filters on, okay, and here net increase, we want to sort them based on the net increase of 2012, 2015, and here largest to smallest, and then again go to number of filters and choose top 3. Okay, so you have top 3 here. So as you can see, the net increase in Texas is the largest. So far in these 3 questions, we calculated the largest market, the fastest growing in terms of growth rate, and then the fastest growing in terms of net increase. Now, let's go to the question 4. Question 4 is asking you what states would you recommend for focusing marketing resources. Support your points with numbers. Well, all the questions that we solved so far is to answer this question. Now, the answer to this question is very important. As we said, it really depends on your judgment and on the context and on the industry and on your knowledge. But you have to make a valid and solid argument on what state would you choose. So you can argue that you would choose California because it's the largest region, so it's the largest market, or you can argue that you would go with Nevada, which is the fastest growing in terms of growth rate, which this argument, by the way, is not that strong because, as you can see, although Nevada has a large growth rate, but it is not in the top 3 in terms of net increase. So Texas actually has the largest net increase. Okay, and also if you look at it here, Texas is the 2nd largest market. So one valid point and one valid option is Texas, because it has a really large net increase in 2015, and it has a large growth rate, as you can see here, and also it's a large market. As you can see, it's the 2nd largest market. Or you can say I would choose California because it's the largest market, and also the growth rate is big enough. As you can see, the net increase. It really depends on your judgment and on the industry, but your argument should make sense. Also, in real life scenarios, there are other factors to consider, such as competition, for example, or the strategy of your business or your company. So, and also you can obviously create a, extract all this information and put them in a table and present them really nicely. Later, at the end of this practice, I'll show you a sample of the report that you can develop based on the information. So let's move ahead and go to question 5. Question 5 is very important here because it asks about the region. So we want to see what region is the largest. What are the housing unit growth rates and net increase of geographic regions? If you go back to your Excel file, you can see that, let me take off the filters. So I'm going to clear the filters so we see all the data here. And as you can see, all the states are categorized based on the region they are in. So basically, region is a factor that groups states together. So now we want to see which region is the best region and which one is the largest region. Here, I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me copy this to a new worksheet. So again, move or copy to the end and create a copy, as you can see. Okay. So let me change this to Q5. So Q5, we want to calculate which region has the growth rate, like we want to calculate the growth rate and net increase for each region. Okay. So as you remember, we hided some of the columns. As you can see, between G and K, there are some comments hidden simply because after G it's H, G, H, I, J. So H, I, J are hidden here. So I'm going to unhide them so we have all the data we need to see them. Okay, and then I can remove the filters or just leave them there. It doesn't matter. Let me just remove them. If we want, we can later add the filters back on again. And okay, to calculate the numbers for region, we have to first of all put all the states from the same region together. So we need to sort based on region. So let me again put the filters on and then sort based on region. So from A to Z. Now, as you can see, all the regions are the states from the same region are next to each other. Now Excel, if we don't do that, Excel cannot do the calculations properly. Okay, so now that we select that, we select the whole table. We want to calculate the subtotal for each region. So you go to data, as you can see here, and then subtotal here. We want to calculate the sum of, we don't need the net increase. We would want to have the sum of housing units for each region, right? This is what we want. The rest of them we would calculate manually so that we avoid any mistake. Okay, and then you select these options and you can see we wanted the sum of these numbers, and then click OK. Once we click OK, as you can see, there is a lot of change here. So Excel would automatically put these rows down below each region, right? So for each region there is a subtotal for those columns that we chose. Actually, we wanted to have these sums, right? Let me make them bold so that you can see better. So we have them. Now, what we want is to calculate growth rate and net increase for each subtotal for each region, right? Very simple. Now there is a lot of ways to do this. We can simply drag these formulas down, or let me just do that so that you can see. Very simple, right? Or let me just undo, like as you can see, I'm going to click on this, or I can click on these number to just see the subtotals of each regions. These numbers are not shown because simply there is not enough room in these cells. So I'm gonna widen them a little bit, okay, so that we have all the numbers. Now we have the subtotals for each region. As you can see, let me bold them all so you can see better. Now, and this is the grand total for the whole United States. Let me bold that as well. Now, growth rate. As I said, we could simply copy the formulas. If I expand this, as you can see, these are the numbers, but let me undo that, like group them together. Now, again, growth rate was old minus new minus old, and then we need to put the parentheses here, and then divided by new, divided by old, right? As you can see, this is the growth rate for 2003 to 2006, and then we copy this right here, and then we can drag it down to right here. This is the grand total, as you can see. So here is the growth rate for the whole states. So the whole state's number of housing unit during this period was about 5%. And we calculate the net increase for these states. Again, very simply, new minus old, as you can see. Again, you can simply copy the formula and drag them down right here. So now we have the growth rates projected and net increase for all these regions. So this is the response for question 5. Okay, so we calculate all of these. Just to have a better look, we can hide the numbers we don't need or we don't want to use. So I'm going to hide this. We basically want to work with the 2015 numbers because this is the year we are in. I'm going to hide these and then hide these 3 here, and then hide these 3 here. Now, as you can see, we have our data for regions right here very simply. Okay. Now, let's go to question 6. Identify the fastest growing region in the United States. Good question. How do we do that? We would just simply filter and sort based on the growth rate, fastest growing, and for the regions. Here we go, we have these filters already on, so growth rate based on largest to smallest. Very simple. And what is the largest growing in terms of growth rate? Yes, we're right here, mountain area or mountain region. And then the second one in terms of growth rate is South Atlantic. So we have that. So we answered question 5 and 6 right there. And then question 7, which regions are attractive for business? Support your point. Now, this is also a very good question. We want to see which region is more attractive. Again, similar to question 4, we have to argue. Let's go back to our Excel. If we want to only look at growth rate, we can say mountain region. But as we said, as you can see here very clearly, uh, mountain region, although it has the largest growth rate, it doesn't have the largest net increase. So let us actually sort based on the net increase, largest to smallest. As you can see, South Atlantic area has the largest. So let me highlight it. This is the largest net increase. And also, as you can see, the total market is also it is the largest. So basically, South Atlantic would be the best and most attractive region because simply it is the largest market, and also it has the largest net increase, and it also has a really large growth rate. Okay, so this should be your reasoning. The second option would be probably west south, and then depends on again on your reasoning and justification. But again, let me emphasize on this that in real world there would be other factors to consider, but right now these are the real data we are working on, and the analysis are pretty solid. So again, we answered question 7 here too. Let me go to question 8. Please estimate the market potential in revenues of residential broadband phone services in the US. Now we want to see what region, what is the potential revenue for each region. It means that we want to see what is the size of each region in terms of revenue. Okay, and the formula is pretty simple. Revenue per year per household multiplied by the number of households. It's very simple. So let me again create a copy of this. I'm gonna put it at the end, create a copy, and then OK. Change that to Q8. Right. So I'm gonna write down here market size in terms of revenue. Okay. So revenue would be, as we said, let me create the, as you can, the numbers here. So monthly payment was 1995. If you remember, you can read the instruction of the question again. And if this is the monthly, then annual price would be this number multiplied by 12, right? Very simple. So this is the amount, the annual amount that a household has to pay if they register for VoIP service. Now we want to see if all of them register, how much would be the size of this market in terms of revenue. How much is the market worth? So we want to write the formula, projected housing number multiplied by the annual cost. Now one important point is that after writing this, we want to drag down the formula, but we want this cell to be fixed. We don't want this to move. So this is called absolute referencing. So we had relative referencing. If we just put it as it is and then drag this down, you see it's going to be 0, because simply Excel would adjust this formula, adjust this cell, and then there is nothing here, so it would multiply this number by 0. So we have to fix this, and then you can press F4 to make it absolute referencing, or you just simply put $signs around this letter here, and then calculate the number. Okay, so now if I drag it down all the way here, as you can see, it will automatically calculate the market size. Now these numbers are dollars because it's the money and with the revenue. So you right click on that, you go to format cell, and then you put currency right there. Okay, so when you do that, let me do it again, format cell, you make it currency. Sorry, currency. Okay. As you can see, Excel would put the dollar sign because these numbers are in currency. So now let me just add the table right here too, so that it's more beautiful. Now you have the market size for each region. These numbers are really big. This is like probably 6 billion. This is 32 billion. So it's a $32 billion market, which is a really big market. So this is the answer for question 8. And question 9 asks you, please estimate the regional market share in sales volume and revenues. We want to see what is the share of each market. Well, the market share formula is pretty simple. Basically, you divide the size of each market by the total size of the market. So we would put market share. So we want to see, let's say, for example, what is the share of South Atlantic. We would simply divide the size of this market to the total size of the market, right? And then again, we change it to percentage. You can just simply click on it and then go, you see this little icon here, you click on that and it makes it as percentage. Again, if I drag it down, we're not going to see anything because simply we didn't put the right referencing. We want this cell, the total cell, to be fixed. So I'm going to fix it. You just click on it and press F4. Okay, now I'm going to copy it, paste it down. So these are the market shares. Again, let me put it in the table. Okay, and as you can see, this is the total market share. So it's the total number divided by itself, which is 100%. Okay, so this is question 8 and 9. So we have the market share. Now we can sort based on market share as well. Let me just do it to see which one is the largest market share. So I'll take the filter off and then put it back on to have all of them there. Now I'll just click on largest to smallest. Okay, so we have the largest market share, which is South Atlantic. Again, West-South is 12% market share. Now, question 9 also asks us to provide appropriate chart. Now, the appropriate chart for market share is pie chart because it shows a total thing, a total pie, and it shows what is the share for each market. So the natural and best chart for this for market share is pie chart. It's very beautiful. Excel will give you a lot of powerful tools to create a chart. Very simply, you choose whatever you want to be in your chart. We want the regions and their share to be in our chart. Okay, so you select them, you select this and you select this. How you select this area. Let me do it again. You select this area and then you press Control and you select this area. Now you go to Insert and then Pie Chart, and then you can choose 3D. I like 3D pie charts because they are simply more beautiful. You click on that, it gives you the chart. Now when you have the chart, you can move it, always move it to a new sheet, so you have the the chart in a new sheet. So I'm gonna move it to a new sheet, as you can see here, and then I'm gonna call it pie chart for share. Okay, so it's gonna automatically be here. And then right now this is a okay chart. You can work with it and always change the design. As you can see, there are different designs. You can select this one. I guess this is a good one because it shows the name of regions and their numbers right there, so it's much easier to understand. Also, you can choose the layout. So let's say you can choose this one, or now it really depends on you, whichever you like more, but try to have something simple and easy to understand. Okay, so you can choose this one. I would choose this one simply. Okay, so here is the answer for question 9. We made the pie chart. Now, in question 10, this is an optional task. If you want, you can do it. It asks you to submit a hard copy report now and your recommendations. Now, if we go back to our titanium, I put a assignment sample. So you can simply open this, save it, and then open it up. You have a sample of previous students who have done this. They would do the analysis, and as you can see, they put all this information next to each other. So, and then you argue that, you know, which state would you choose and what is the reason. Make sure to read this. Make sure to read this assignment and this assignment, so that you know how to answer or how to create a report. Now let me go back to our titanium. As you can see, there are other resources here. One thing I want to show you is that the data we just worked on, you can simply collect that data from American Community Survey data or census website. So if you click on American Community, let me just show you for a second. You go to data tools, and then there are data tools here. You can simply go to quick facts, choose the region and then the type of information you want, and also collect all the data you want. As you can see, there are a lot of information here. Let's say you want to see the housing, as we had right now for this practice. We were working on the housing units for each region and state. So you can get these data and download them here and work with them. So my point is that this was a real example of a real with real data we worked. So this might happen in future. You want to work with this data, so it's would be very easier for you to actually collect this data and work with them. So that's it for now. Please feel free to ask any question if you want. If you have any more question, you can come to my office. You can email me, and I hope that this video helps you to learn better and easier. Good luck, and that's it. Thank you.